Okay, class, today our target is solving a system of equations using substitution. Now, when I say substitution, what I'm really talking about is just plugging it in. Okay? So when you see that word, don't let it confuse you. We're really just talking about plugging something in. Alright, now what are we going to plug in here? Okay, first of all, let's just take a look at our system of equations. Notice that the first one is in standard form. We just have negative 2x minus 8y equals 4. That's the way we've been looking at these two variable equations. The second one is already solved for x. So that means we already know what x is equal to. X is equal to this. It's equal to negative 3y minus 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that negative 3y minus 2 and plug it in for x. We're just going to stick it right there. Okay, so what I've done here is I've rewritten the first equation, okay, and I left myself a little space there because what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace x with what we already know x is equal to. X is equal to negative 3y minus 2. That's the hardest part of doing this. Now all we have to do is solve it for y. Notice what we did right there. Before we had an equation with two variables. Now we have an equation with only one variable. We got rid of the x and replaced it with another y. So now we can solve. So our first step is just to plug in whatever x is equal to. The second step, we're just going to distribute. All I'm doing is distributing here and here. So positive 6y plus 4 minus 8y equals 4. Then I can just combine like terms. I have 6y's here, negative 8y's over there. That combines to negative 2y. And then I just solve for y. Subtract 4 from both sides, and then divide by negative 2. And I end up with y equals 0. Okay, so now I know what y is equal to. I knew what x was, is this. Now I know that y is equal to 0. Let's see. Alright, so our answer is, wait a second. It looks like we're missing something. So what's missing there? Think about that. We know that y is equal to 0, but we don't know what x is still. Now, we said that x was negative 3y minus 2, but that's not going to be a point that we can look at on a graph, right? We know that x is going to eventually have a coordinate that goes there. So, if we're missing the x, and we know what the y is, what have we been doing when we know one but not the other? Yeah, think about that. Okay? So now that we know that y is 0, and we just want to know what x is, let's go back and plug it in. So, if x is equal to negative 3y minus 2, and y, we know now, is 0, then x is negative 3 times 0, which is 0, minus 2. So x is negative 2. That's it. Now let's bring this one back. So the answer now is negative 2, 0. Put on our chart there too. Alright. So now there's another way to check to make sure that that is the correct answer, negative 2, 0, and that is to graph the two equations and make sure that's the point where they intersect. So we're going to look at that on Desmos. So to check your answer using Desmos, just pull up the Desmos graphing calculator. You're going to type in the two equations, negative 2x minus 8y equals 4. Hit enter. X equals negative 3y minus 2. Now you've got your two equations graphed. If you want to make sure that that point is the correct one, you can zoom in on it. Okay, zoom in a little bit there. There we go.
And you can also, if you hold down the mouse button on one of the lines, it gives you a little point that you can follow along. And it should snap to -2, 0, where the two equations come together.
Okay, now that we've checked out the graphs, we're pretty sure that -2, 0 is the answer. One other way that we can check our answer is to take it and just plug it back in or substitute it into the original equation. -2 times -2 is 4. -8 times 0 is 0. 4 minus 0 is 4. So it checks out there as well. So two different ways to check our answers. Alright, so one for you to try. 3x plus y equals -2. Y equals x plus 2. I just want you to find the solution. What is a value for x and y that will work for both equations?